Awesome. So while we're waiting, because everybody, hopefully the weather is holding for everybody. Cami, in just a minute, I'm going to have you, we'll start like maybe at 3:45 because I'm sure Mr. Henry has a lot to share.
Yes, and I know that there's like a district math meeting here where we're at, and so I know people will be joining late when it's over, like around 4 or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Sec.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, wait, let him come back.
Sorry. I was connected
No,
at my
no, no, you're
speaker.
good.
You're good.
Good afternoon, children, boys and girls.
Oh, sorry. It's parent pick up time now.
Okay.
And after this training, cafe, I still have a data-driven instruction, PD.
Oh my goodness.
But I asked my coach. She said it's okay if I will be late. So she's just gonna let me in when I'm done.
Oh, good. Perfect. So, Cami, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you guys all for joining us today. We're so excited you could be here. I want to introduce my friend, Mr. Henry, to you. He teaches in a elementary math classroom that does math for second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Did I get that right, Mr. Henry?
Yes, ma'am.
And when we walked into his classroom and saw with the students everything that he was doing, it was just amazing. And I have a lot of teachers ask me how to do particularly the vertical spaces in a building thinking classroom that is universally designed learning. And after I saw Mr. Henry's classroom, I said, oh my gosh, you've got to show everybody how your kids do this. It's amazing. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Henry.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. So it's truly my pleasure to be here with you today. When I first received the invitation with Miss Kami, I was incredibly excited. Being part of this cafe felt like such an honor. But to be honest with you, after watching the recording of the previous session, seeing the amazing work that was shared, I suddenly felt a little bit intimidated. For a moment, I even considered backing out. Then I paused and asked myself, why did I become an educator? So I became an educator because I believe in growth, not only for my student, but also for myself. I realized that if I truly want to improve my teaching practice, I need to step out from my comfort zone. And more importantly, I need to learn uh, from educators like you. So I decided to say yes, not because I feel I have all the answers, but because I know I have so much to learn and I'm here today, not just to share, but to grow, to listen, and to be inspired by your ideas as well. So thank you all for giving me this opportunity. Um, how would I next? Sorry. So to give overview about myself, so my name is Henry Balansag. I've been in culinary industry for 26 years. I came from the Philippines. I am a certified sous chef in the American Culinary Federation, currently teaching in Terra Maria Elementary School here in New Mexico. It's nearly my 3 years of teaching experience, and I have a substitute license. And I've been teaching second and third combo class, fourth and fifth combo class, and then sixth grade. All of those I teach math. So welcome to my building thinking classroom. So I created a building thinking classroom to move beyond simply getting an answer. My goal is to increase deep student thinking, encourage them productive struggle, and build strong collaboration so students truly understand mathematics and learn from one another. So my agenda for today is I'm talking about the components of my thinking classroom, the lesson structure that I made. Sorry for that. The lesson plan that I created, student engagement activities, and the assessment.
And Mr. Henry, I forgot to say, you guys are welcome to put any questions in the chat at any time. Mr. Henry said he would love that if you have a question at the time of something he's going over, go ahead and ask that or raise your hand and unmute.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. So as we continue with the components of my thinking classroom, the first one is the fronted space. The next one is collaborative. The third one is active engagement. Number 4, visible thinking. Number 5, rich tasks. And the last one is student voice and choice. So in the frontage space, I believe that learnings happen all around the classroom, not only just a traditional teacher standing in front, do all the talking and stuff from there. So as you can see, I see on your screen, this is the picture of my first year teaching. So as you, I put the students. So I believe on that time I did a great job because I don't have behavior issues during that time. But when I have my first observation, the only comments that my previous principal stated that she wants to see my students collaborating. At first, I'll be honest, I hesitated. I wondered if grouping students more intentionally might create challenges or distraction. But as I reflected the feedback of my previous principal, I asked myself, what did I see that I may not have noticed yet? I realized that sometimes growth begins when seeing through someone else's perspective. So instead of questioning the recommendation of my previous principal, I decided to embrace that. I carefully planned how to structure collaboration with clear expectations and purposeful grouping. I began intentionally grouping students, as you can see on the screen, creating opportunities for them to think and discuss, learn from one another. So that decision became a turning point. It opened the door, deeper engagement, stronger communication skills, and more meaningful learning in my classroom. So as I finished the year, I changed this school year. This is now my new sitting arrangement. So as you can see before, here you can see the cabinets, the projectors. So what I did to those cabinets and projectors, the projectors, I hung it on the ceiling. I cut the cabinets in half. I put it on the top of my cubby. So what you see now here is like an open space. I can move freely in the classroom and check all the students' works. So I will give you a tour of my classrooms. This is the instructional board. As you go to the right, these are the activity boards, my tables. So as you can see, the door, normally the instructional board should be was here before. But I noticed that when somebody passed or somebody comes in my classroom to visit, it distracts my class. So I decided this school year, I have to move it on the front. So I am the only classroom that the board is on the opposite side of the wall. Since now in second semester, I changed again because I consider this time a crucial time because few months from now we'll be having our state test. So I want everybody facing front, but still working, they're still in the group. So they can still collaborate, sharing ideas with each other. But I want just to make sure everybody facing in front. The second component is what I call collaborative. So here students work in random groups to share ideas and solve the problems together. So the students are groups based on the cards. So I have 7 groups. So I'm using a playing cards. It doesn't matter if it's ace, clubs, as long as you have the same number, you're working in the same group. So each group has 2 activity boards. As you can see, one on the triangle activity board and the other is called is for activity boards. The third part of the component is active engagement. So at this point, students are up moving and interacting with content with peers and the tools that be provided for them. And also the fourth one is, it's called visible thinking. So student work strategies are displayed on whiteboard. So thinking are public and discussable. Because what I've noticed before, I asked students, how did you learn this? How did you get your answer? And what most of the response, it's in my mind. So I make a joke that, oh, do I need to call 911 to get a doctor and get your brain so we can understand what is in your mind? So the reason why I include this visible thinking, so I can see what student thinking based on what they wrote on the vertical surfaces. So these are the examples of what students were doing. So you can see, and you can jump in where to help them if there are confusions might happen during the activity. Not just like thinking, oh, it's in my brain, so it's hard for me to help if it's inside the brain. So I make a joke for them at that point. And the fifth component is called the red task. So problems are open-ended and promote curiosity and allows multiple entry points and strategies. So what I love the most about this component is that we can deny the fact that there are a group of students that finish the activities early. So in order for them to keep them going by adding the question or restating the question in order for them to continue working rather than creating distractions in the activity. And the last part is student voice and choice. So every student has opportunities to contribute, share their thinking in different ways. So however you explain, prove the problem, you can do it in your way. So there's no limit that this should be done like this. No, I give students a freedom how they express or explain their response, either in drawing, in writing, or however they want it, as long as they can explain it after. So then let's go to the next part of my lesson structure. I often think that about lesson structure in a simple way. So in the kitchen, there are clear standards and procedures that everyone follows. Those systems are in place to ensure the consistency, quality, and success. When everyone understands their rule and the expectation, the work flows smoothly. And I realized that teaching is not much different. If I wanted a meaningful collaboration and deeper thinking in my classroom, I need to have strong routines and clear procedures. So without structure, even the best ideas can fall apart. But when the right system is in place, students feel safe, focused, and ready to learn. That mindset led me to intentionally design of my lesson structure, and I built a clear routines and set expectation for collaboration, and created a predictable learning flow. So on my first year of teaching, I was introduced this teaching model. Uh, it might be familiar to all of you. So this is what I learned during my first year, the teaching model that I do, we do, and you do. So I used this strategy on my first year. Honestly, on my end, I didn't see any result. So I asked myself, maybe I'm just a new teacher. I wasn't able to deliver it properly. So I continued this strategy on my second year, on the first semester. But after the second year of this second semester, I didn't see any changes or growth in our, especially in our state test. So what I did, I was thinking, oh, I should need this. I should need to change my strategy. So what I was thinking, I flipped the traditional teaching model. So instead of I start with you do, then followed by we do, and the last one is I do. So most of the time, the I do part, as we go on with our lesson, this one will gone because the other student will answer the problem, and the student will some of the student will lead the discussion, and other groups follows too. So I will tour you with my lesson structure. This is how I built my lesson structure. So I start with the see, think, and wonder activities. That's the you do part, followed by the activating prior knowledge, or the APK activity, problem of the day, triangle activity in vertical non-permanent surfaces, guided gallery walk, group sharing, lesson introduction. Check for understanding. The activity that I incorporate with that is the stand, solve, and share activity. Group sharing. So we have the chance when after we solve, we have the chance to share all group strategies and ideas on how to come up with their answers. And the last part is the exit slip. So before, we have a standard district-wide lesson plan template. But since now, our very nice superintendent give us the opportunity to create our own lesson plan. So I create my lesson plan based on the 5A's lesson framework. So how this look like? So I start with the engagement, followed by explore, explain, next to explains to elaborate, and the last one is evaluate. How this 5A's framework look like in a real lesson plan. So this is how it looks like on the engagement activity, engagement part. So the goal here is not to teach yet, but to spark curiosity. It connects prior knowledge and to explore the lesson. The next part of explore. So it gives students hand-on experience, encourage investigation, and let them actively test ideas to build understanding. The next part is to explain. So on this part, help students to explain their understanding and clarify the key concepts and connect their observation to accurate academic explanation. The next part is to elaborate. So the goal for this is to help students transfer and generalize their learnings, conducting many lectures, showing videos that connects to our lessons or objectives of that day, and working in a small group activity. And the last part is to evaluate. I mean, to evaluate. And the last part, is the exit ticket. So as you can see on my exit ticket and all of my problems right here, I create my own worksheets, but I make sure that all of my worksheet is not a multiple choice question, because I want to test their learnings and I want to see if they really learn or not. By giving a multiple choice question, it's easy for them to make a response. So I want them their response based on what they understand on the lesson. So the next part of my agenda is student engagement activities. So these are the student engagement activities I introduced in my classroom. So the first one is see, think, and wonder activity. The next one is a triangle activity in the vertical non-permanent surface, a guided gallery walk, group sharing, stand, solve, and share, and the last one is exit ticket. So in see, think, and wonder activities, so normally what happens is we post our learning goals or icon statement, if you can say it, on the board. So during the activity, I covered my learning goal or learning objective for that day because I want the student to discover what are we supposed to be learning today. Like, for example, I'm going to show this picture. So this is a 6th grade lesson. So I'm going to ask them, what did you see in the picture? What do you think? And what did you wonder? And then I'm going to switch to the lesson. How is this picture in line with our lesson for today? Because some say, I think we're comparing, okay? And then the others, oh, we're learning ratio. And then I ask them, why do you think? Because we are comparing two different things. That's the time I will pull out the objective of the day, and that's where the lesson start. So I introduce the lesson. So we're learning about fractions. And the next one, I introduce the problem of the day. So the problem of the day first, before we go to the triangle activity, I introduce the problem on the screen, on the whiteboard. I will give them 2 minutes to solve the problem. When the time ends, I always use a timer. So after the timer ends, even if you're not done, I will give you 1 more minute to talk to your table partners, to your group, on how did you come up with your answer. So the whole point of this, of talking to the group, is when when the students are grouped randomly, if I don't understand yet, I hear somebody we're talking, so I can bring something from my group when I'm in my group, in my actual group. So how this triangle activity works. So before, when I have the fourth grade to 6th grade, the maximum group is 3 persons. So each group should be 3. If you have extra to make it 4, you have to split that group into 2. So the maximum is 3. If you have 4 students, you make that one into 2 groups. And I recommend for the lowers, like they just give me the second semester, the second and third. So this should be work 2 by groups. Because if you add more, that's where the behavior happens. So how this triangle works. So the first is the scribe. So what does the scribe does? The scribe does all the writings. He or she can talk. But the question is what she writes. So there were 2 collaborators. This is the time that when the collaborators say something, you have to write. Once you're done writing one thing, you had to hand the marker to the next group so everybody in the group can share and write on the problem. And we can see that one on the vertical surface. So these are the examples of what happened. So this is a challenge question. So what happened to this problem is student is creating the problem. Once they're done making the problem, they are thinking that they make it easy because they said they were thinking that they will solve the problem. So since this is a challenge one, once you're done with your problem, after 3 minutes, I will give another card to the group. Once you get the card, you're going to solve that problem. It means that this activity, you're not solving your own problem. You have to solve somebody's problem. And since this is in every word problems, I introduce a 4-square method. That's how they solve the problem using a 4-square method. So the first one is the numbers. You write all the numbers that you see in the problem, the clue words that incorporate with the problem, and then where you can do the solution. So I make sure, since for the 6th grade, I make sure that at least 2 sentences they have to build to support their answers. The next one is a guided gallery walk. So at this point, after the triangle activity, I have this bell. So every time the bell rings, the group will move to the next group and see all the group's members output and response. So this activity will help the groups who are not getting the problems yet. So once when it got all around and you go back to your own problem, I will give you 1 more minute to finalize your answers and make sure that during this gallery walk, each group should give at least one positive and supportive comments on the other's group response, just to give them encouragement for those students or groups that wasn't able to get the problems yet. So the next part is the group sharing. So this is where continuation with the triangle activity, the gallery walk. So this is where the students sharing their ideas. So what happened on this group sharing, it will start with the group that doesn't get the answer yet. So as we go on with the groups, the last one, most of the thing happens like the last group will present. Almost of those group got all the problems, got it correct. And the next engagement activity is called a chalk talk.
Oh, before
So
you go
these
on
are
to
the
that,
yes,
before
ma'am.
before you go into the chalk talk, can we see if anybody has any questions? Because you've shared
Yeah.
a lot of amazing
Sorry.
stuff so far. So, does anybody have some questions or insight they'd like to ask Mr. Henry about?
We did get one in the chat. So Henry, Mr. Henry, you
Yes,
said
ma'am.
that you were worried that when you defronted your room, that behaviors might increase. What did you find actually happened?
Oh, it was the my previous principal's recommendation because she said she want my student collaborating. So as you can see on my first picture, that I put the student from each other so they cannot reach each other, so I don't have behavior problems. So when she said like when her comment during my first observation, she want to see my student collaborating, so that one makes me scared putting students together.
And how,
And
what
then,
ended up,
and then what happened?
And what happened was when I start doing those, it changes everything, ma'am. That's where I started thinking, oh, it make good response at that point. Because if this student doesn't know, he doesn't know. Because there's nobody for him to ask with. So when I put in a group, when they start sharing, they can get from somebody's idea, and then sometimes they can improve that idea and share it to the class.
So you didn't have any behavior difficulties like you thought you might?
Not really, ma'am. I thought that it will happen, but maybe because of the previous, the consistency of my uh, uh, routines and the behaviors rules, I think it goes from there. So I was also thankful that I started like a strong foundation of behaviors interventions and rules to set for them.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Cool. Go ahead. Keep going, Mr.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. So the next engagement activity is called a chalk talk. So these are the examples of what students was doing. So chalk talk is a silent discussion strategy where student needs to respond in writing. So what happened on this activity is I post the lessons in the middle. I will give them a minute or two to think about the lesson, on what did you remember about the lesson, and when I hand the marker, they will stand up, write everything what they come in their mind about the lesson. So everybody was writing. When everybody was done writing, now we start sharing. So we're gonna ask about what they write. Do you think it's related to our lesson? How is this related to our lesson? So I find it's more effective because, like what you see, I don't need to teach some of those lessons that it might need to the actual lesson. Like I don't need to go back on ordered pairs because they know already what an ordered pair is. how is like the simple, all I have to do is to explain, oh, what is these two numbers that have two lines in it? So it saves me time rather than going back to the lesson that students might know already. So the point is like, if I make them a new lesson that they might not know yet, that might make them interested, rather than expecting student that they don't know it yet. So my goal on this activity too is to get what the students learn about this lesson. So once I notice that, oh, they already learned this topic, so I don't need to discuss this one. All I have to do is to make this, how this lesson make more them to understand better. And then the next one is the stand, solve, and share. So the difference between stand, solve, and share activity and the triangle activity is that on this activity, I put up each problem, as you can see on the screen. Each group has their own problem. So before they go to their group, they don't know what the problem is, but still in line with our lesson. So when I give them the random cards, they will get the cards, go to their groups, and that's where they start the problem. They read the problem. I will give them 3 minutes to solve. And when it's done, we go from each group explaining their answers. And what happened to this one right now is I'm going to show you a video on the stand, solve, share activity. So the reason why I selected this certain or this group, because I work hard for the certain student to improve her math skills. She is one of my SPED students too right now. So I will play a video, I think like a 2 minutes video.
I would go for this one, we had to do side times side, and the two sides are 5 and 5, so 5 times 5 equals 25. And then for that one, we had to find the base and the height, and the height is 7 and the base is 5. So we had to bring down that, and then we had to times that, and then that's 35. And then we had to make that into a fraction.
Thank
And
you.
then we had to add 35. So 1 times 35 equals 35. 2 times 1 equals 2. And then we had to put these two numbers here, and then we had to divide those two numbers. 2 can go into here, 1 times 2 equals 2, and then subtract that, that's 1, bring it on the 5. 2 can go into 15 7 times. Then you had to 7 times 2 equals 14. 5 times 4 take away 4. 5 take away 4 equals 1. And then 1 take away 1 equals 0. And then we had the decimal. Put the decimal up here. Put the 0 down here. 2 can go into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 equals 10. 10 take away 10 equals 0. So then we bring, that answer is for all of those. So then we have to add all of those sides together. That equals 70.0. And then we have to bring down that, put that here. That's 25 plus 70 is 95 point 0.
Okay, question.
No.
No questions? Yes, this one.
What is this? A 6. That's a 0.
So as you can see, it was like the presentation, the group presentation is happens to all the groups. So I just selected that certain student because for the a year and a half, almost 2 years that I was working with that student, she improves very much. So these are the examples also, like the pictures that I had on the Stanford Berkshire activities where students was working. And the next engagement activities is called an exit ticket. So an exit tickets, like an example, is another engagement activity. So you will wonder why there's a lot of chilies right here. So the reason why I put chilies instead of putting question easy, medium, hard, because when they reach the hard part, students think I cannot do it because it's hard. So instead of putting those questions, it will change their mind if you just put this chili like, oh, I want more spicy. So give me a spicier, more question better than putting a question that already leveled like, oh, it's really hard. So at least in their mind, we already take out like, oh, I cannot do it. Because there, and if they can see the chili, they will be challenged like, I want more spicy because in New Mexico, they like, I believe they like more spicy stuff. So in exit ticket, I have also part of the exit ticket, I call it exit slip board. As you can see, this exit slip board happens before the student, after my lesson, before the student leaves the classroom, I will call them. So what happens is when I call them, they will get their names and put how they feel about that lesson. So this exit slip board will help me also in the afternoon during the small group activity. So who will be my teacher helper? So the teacher helper will be their group leaders, will help me during the small group activity. What I normally do is I will take some of those students that doesn't get it yet. So they will work with me in the table individual, and it will also on the second and third grades. I just put it last because they just give me the second and third grade this semester. And also I have this exit tickets called evidence of learning. So before also the student leaves my classroom, I will hand them two sticky notes. So the first sticky notes, they will write two things that they learned today. The other sticky notes that they need to write two questions that they want to learn tomorrow. So these things that they want to learn tomorrow, before I will start the next lesson on the next day, I will make sure that I address their questions because I don't want them to leave hanging like if they want to learn more about this thing, the lesson or the things that they are not sure yet. So I have to address those before we proceed to the next lesson. The next part of my exit ticket is called a thin slicing activity. So what happened here is like the student will start answering from level 1 to level 3. So as you can see on the left side, these are the questions of each group. So what happened is you're gonna take question from the bottom going to up. So what I normally did when I start the process, I just go around, check other people's other groups working. Sometimes they will call me because they were confused. So I lead them the way, but not giving the answers. So once the group is done, they're gonna call me and gonna check their answers. So once the group got all the correct answers, they will have their free time while the other group trying to finish their problems. And the last part is I call the assessment. So if you remember on my lesson structure, I put assessment at the end, but I assist student. The reason why I put them at the last because it's not easy for me to put on each section, but I can assess students during this activity time, like on the prior activity knowledge, problem of the day, stand, solve, and share, the summative assessment, and the exit ticket slips. So I ensure that my classroom activities are both enriching and reinforcing to address the diverse needs of my students. And also the student output, if you go outside my classroom, you can see the student output I posted outside. so everybody can see also. So I got second and third, fourth and fifth, and sixth grade work activity outputs. And aside from those outputs, I have also this progress monitoring wall for everybody to see outside my classroom, where you can see the progress of students. Not only me can see, but also the students and other teachers. Maybe they can say something that can help me improve the scores that we have currently right now. So my goal is to create a thinking classroom because I believe in our motto that mistakes allows thinking to happen. So thank you all for your time. I hope you learn or at least get something from my presentation today. And if you have any question, I'm more than happy to answer.
We have one in the chat. It says, Mr. Henry, if you were to choose from the student engagement activities that you shared today, which one do you find most effective?
So the most effective on the student activity is the triangle activity. Because the reason why I said triangle activity, because here on that problem of the day, all groups are working in one problem. But the only make it more exciting is like each group shows the problem differently. So you can show different strategies and you will surprise, oh, I never thought do you have another strategy on solving this problem. And that's why I was surprised that I like this strategy better. So because you see that different strategies that works that student shows on how to solve the problem. So after that, the triangle activity, that's why I was still thinking, how would I challenge them? So that's the reason why I add another activity. It's called stand, solve, and share
Oh,
to
what did you,
challenge the students too.
right. What did you find happened with your scores, your test scores?
Oh, it's a
Last
good
semester.
question. So based on my activity, I'm gonna show you a data, and it's up to you for you to decide how my strategy works in my classroom. So I'm gonna show you a data, but in case if you have question, if you need a slide, this is my email at school. You can email me anytime at your convenient time. If you have question, I will try to answer it. If not, I'm gonna ask somebody from my teachers to help me answer your questions that are more teachers that more experienced than me. So I always ask help. So
what,
this,
oh,
yes,
yep.
ma'am.
Yep, perfect, thanks.
Okay, so the reason why I selected sixth grade because I start this strategy last year. So I focused this strategy on my fifth grade before. Now they are in sixth grade. So this is the NWAA data for the sixth grade. So this is the beginning of the year assessment, and this is the end of the year assessment. So
Wow.
as you can see the data, the blue is the middle of the year and the orange one is the middle of the year. So my goal now, hoping to stay a little bit more or at the end of the year for the state test. And then for the IMASA test, this is my beginning of the year IMASA test assessment, the result, and this is my middle of the year assessment. So if you're asking me if my strategy works, well, I cannot answer that. It's up to you for you to decide. I only shown you the data.
That was awesome. We had one person ask if you could go back to the slide before. Rose, which slide did you want him to go to?
Oh, the mistakes one. I had somebody come into the office.
Do you know which one that is, Mr. Henry?
Which one mistake? I'm not sure, ma'am.
47.
Yeah, it was the one right before your ending slide.
Oh,
that
that one. Yes,
Thank you. Yes,
one, ma'am?
love that.
yes,
Yes,
that
sir.
one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Because the reason why I create this motto is so the student will not afraid to get mistakes. So every time, so I have this observation many times, and they get mistakes, and most of the students said it's okay to get mistake because I also posted that one on my top window. It said it's okay to get mistake because mistakes allows thinking to happen. So I can say that on my class, they are not afraid to get mistakes. But I make sure to them that please don't give me an I don't know answer. I really don't like it. It means if you give me an I don't know answer, it means you're not thinking. It doesn't matter if you're wrong, because we can address your mistake. But if you don't give me an answer, if I don't know, I cannot help you with that.
So we did get another one. Tierra Maria Elementary is super proud of you, Mr. Henry. Good
Thank you.
job. That came in from one of our viewers.
Thank you. Yeah, before I share this building thinking classroom, I have the opportunity to share this with my fellow teachers in here in our school in Tierra Maria, and I was happy that I never thought that they're gonna adapt because I'm just a new teacher. So when after my presentation, I have a mini PD in our school. They were asking, "Where did you buy this? Where did you buy that? I need that. I need that." Like, and then the next week, like I saw already vertical surfaces in their classroom. Like, oh, it made me happy.
I have a question for Mr. Henry.
Yes, ma'am.
I really I think there's so many beautiful layers that you've established in your classroom space. But one of the things that I was wondering was like, do you find that some problems are better for students to practice versus others? And like, how do you decide which problems you're presenting for students to work on those vertical surfaces? Like that, I'm curious about that.
Okay. So the problem is aligned with my lesson. So on the standards, so I get my lesson based on the IMASA standard test that they have. So if for example, oh, this standard I'll be working on, what are the students should be learning on this lesson? So I have to go deeper, and even I go to New Mexico scope and sequence to make like all my lessons aligned together. So I will not go beyond. So I make sure that the students will learn the way they are expected to learn on this standard. So when I make my lesson plan, I have to go to New Mexico, scope and sequence to make sure that I am aligning on what are the expectation of the students to learn about this lesson. So
Yeah,
that's why I introduce my problem based on the standards and my learning goals for the day or for that certain day.
that really helps a lot. And I love the way that you're really drilling down in your practice of where you're heading for students. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, ma'am.
And that's what happened with your student that was on an IEP in your classroom that you showed the video for,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Because
Yeah.
the goal was so far below the standard, but you elevated her up to the
Yes, ma'am.
standard.
I was working hard for her last year when I hear that her IAP goal was 2 grade below level. I said, oh no, I have to prove it that this should be changed because I saw her in my classroom every time. So my goal now is to make her on grade level.
And
this year.
is she about there to that goal now?
I did not go to their IEP yet because their IEP is not scheduled. I already make her
Oh, gotcha.
how do you call that one? Like the IEP form. That's my goal to her, but we did not meet it yet. I hope it will be followed because I already talked to the parents. I showed the video how she changes a lot, and the parents said, "Oh, we see that one at home too."
Because you see her functioning at grade level in your classroom.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
awesome.
That's
Awesome.
why my goal this year is I want her to work on her grade level.
Love it. So we just got a couple comments. You have really demonstrated that you can go beyond any textbook to really get kids thinking, working, and improving. And you want to take that one?
And then another one that says, our middle school teachers are implementing building thinking classrooms in mathematics K through 12 by Peter Leodahl.
Yes,
They
ma'am.
have noticed the increase in student collaboration and thinking and more risk-taking in the math classroom. Awesome.
Aligns with you, Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
So,
Yeah, and I
Mr.
just,
Oh, sorry, Candace, go ahead.
that's okay. I just wanted to tell Mr. Henry that you're an inspiration to all of us teachers, because I think even though you're a third year teacher, you're showing that it takes the relationship building, the growth mindset from the teacher perspective, and then just the student-centered focus. And I can appreciate that very much because I don't think any teacher has all of the answers. It just is the heart and the passion, and I appreciate that from you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Agree, Miss Candice. Mr. Henry's gonna cry now.
So Mr. Henry Rose is over at Los Lunas Public Schools, and so that's exciting that they're doing the same thing you guys are. So if you ever need some networking friends, Rose, same for you. If you guys need to connect, we could connect Mr. Henry with some of your teachers too, just maybe even to have a little network with each other. So
I'm more than willing to share my strategies in this classroom.
perfect. So I just wanted to make sure to make that connection for everybody so that you're not alone in the ship, that there's other folks working on it too. So anybody else have any other questions, insight they want to share? Mr. Henry Lee, thank you for doing this and putting it together, because I know it was one more thing, and our motto is not to add one more thing, but we truly felt the value and importance, and we wanted to make sure your voice was heard. So again, we at New Mexico UDL truly thank you for that, and Corey and Cami, thank you for supporting Mr. Henry in showing his fabulous work. So
And thank you for this wonderful opportunity too, ma'am.
absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Henry.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks so much. Thanks all for joining.
We'll hang for a little bit if there's any other questions, but do know that this was recorded and we will put it up on YouTube here shortly. So thanks,
Yes, and,
everybody.
Janae, can you share a link for that on our email? Because I know our folks here at Dulce had that that math, not conference, what was it? The district math workshop. And
PL.
yeah, and so they would like a copy of it too.
Yep. Once I have it live, I'll